Hi, hello, Amana, and welcome to the most unexpected installment of the Making of Thalia Grace. So, I'm gonna be up front. This video has no structure, no planning. I'm fully winging this one, and it's gonna be interesting, and I'll get into why in a minute. But first, here are some timestamps. Please, future me, put them in, because I know that it's gonna be quite long. And if you want to go back and try to find something that you liked, then here you are. Alright, let's get on with the video. So this episode is actually a bonus episode. I didn't expect to make this. I hinted at it in previous episodes and on my social media, which is like TikTok. But I didn't expect to make this video, and that is her props. I am making her shield more priority, and maybe her spear. Future Anna, put a clip in just to let people know if I make the sphere or not. If not, well, now you just see me talking. Hi, this is Future Anna here. It's 2 months later. I have officially finished all the props. Yes, plural. You know how I was talking about this being a bonus video? It's not. I know this is unconventional for me. I usually don't change or interrupt my own intros, but I felt the need to. I just wrapped up filming. I have not seen any of the footage yet, but I'm pretty dang sure if this is in here, that means the video is going to be quite long. It's going to be about 30 minutes or more, and it's gonna be interesting. I can almost guarantee that what is actually going to be in this video is making the shield, those multiple different parts of that, and as well making the spear and making the bracelet. That is the 3 projects that are going to be in this video, and whatever I've said already is slightly redacted. I'm pretty sure in the beginning, this is 2 months later, so don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of, I'm just gonna make the shield and let's see about the spear. I didn't even mention the bracelet. And if I did, well, this video has no point. But I do want to mention that this video is going to be much longer than I planned it on being, and it's not a bonus video anymore. So, enjoy the video. Back to past me. Bye! Okay, so before we dive in, and we're going to dive in a quick minute, I want to say that the only other prop I've ever used for Thalia would be either a broom, because I thought that was funny, or just a bow and arrow set that I stole from my brother, which I don't have anymore. So I'm super excited to get into her shield. It's going to be very interesting how this is going to get done. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Alright, so as you can see here, I am using a piece of EVA foam. It is 10 millimeters thick and it's 24 by 60 inches. What I'm currently doing is I am drawing a circle with a piece of chalk and a giant yardstick, and what you see, that little dot in the middle, is a safety pin that I put in the middle of the circle. Now I'm currently cutting it out with the box cutter, which is not the cleanest cut, but it's fine. We're going to sand it out later and it's going to look immaculate. As you can see, I had some difficulty just getting it out in the first place, but it will be fine. I will try to clean it up with a sanding block, but that does not work at all. So later you will see me trying to Dremel it, and that will help a lot.
So it's been a week. You're probably wondering why we're down here, and that's because I need to blow this up. I need to overinflate this a little bit, so that way I can stick it in my car and let the sun actually heat this up and curve it. Where I got this idea from was actually from 2 videos, more specifically than the other, because the other video is actually coming from the first video. I will put links like here or in the description in the future, so that way you can go and like follow those tutorials as well. They'll probably be cleaner than mine, but I'm very excited about this. So this is gonna get interesting very quickly, but first I gotta inflate this. So, ball's not big enough. This needs a bigger ball, but I have found out it's
So as you can see, I very quickly was able to get my hands on a giant exercise ball. I went to my local sports store. You can find these on Amazon, but I was looking for really cheap, and luckily I think I found this for about $10, which was very nice after the disaster that was the tiny kid ball. And I just inflated it as much as I can. I actually overinflated it for the reason of I wanted the shield to be as domey as possible, if that makes any sense. Also, the next step will make a lot more sense as to why I overexpanded this ball. It is going to deflate because of the heat. I figured that out when I unwrapped this thing. That sentence will make sense in a minute.
So, I don't know if you can tell, but the ball is ready to go, which means we can finally get to the next step. It's the perfect size, and I'm very excited because now I can actually conform the shield to this ball. The ball is actually bigger than the shield. A lot bigger than the shield, which is great because I don't have to do as much work as I thought I was going to have to. So this is going to be a lot of fun, and I might actually keep this. I was going to get rid of it, but I like bouncing on it. So let's get on to the next step.
As you can see here, I am currently using saran wrap to attach the foam to the ball. It is forcing it to be that dome shape that I want. It's going to stay that way once I put it in the car, and the heat will do the rest. Well, more or less the sun. But essentially, I'm wrapping this ball like a Christmas gift, and getting any lumps and bumps I see or feel just down. Like, I need this to be as flat to the ball as I can. And if I can't get it with the saran wrap, I get it with tape. I tape the entire edge of the foam and essentially make sure that it is going nowhere, but at the same time making sure that it is, like I said, as flat as I can to the ball, so that way it gets that dome shape later. So something I want to note is that I put the ball in my front passenger seat for a very specific reason. I wanted to make sure I got a ton of sun. All the tutorials I watched just said to make sure it gets a ton of sun, a ton of heat. Luckily, where I live, it's always kind of hot, so my car operated as an oven for this thing, but I also just needed to make sure it got a ton of sunlight. And I have a giant windshield, so this worked out.
Several days later.
Okay, good morning. Ignore the wig. I just got it yesterday and I want to wear it out. Anyway, so it's the next morning, or now it's afternoon, but I had to run out and get more EVA foam because what I was trying to do last night wasn't working, and it just, good night. It got late, so I ruined my other EVA foam. I think I will be able to use the scraps for something else, but for now, I gotta make the next part of the shield with the new roll of this stuff. It's the same exact specs as the other one, so let's get to work.
So what you see here is basically the inner part of the shield. It's going to provide some structure, and actually it's going to come in handy, the fact that I made 2 layers of this. But to make it, second verse, same as the first, just make it about 2 to 4 inches smaller. It's really up to you at that point.
Okay, so the reason why I'm crouching down is because in a second you're going to be on my messy floor, but it is late at night and I have roommates, so I don't want to work out in the living room at the moment. And it's just very comfy in here, not gonna lie. But the doming of the shield is done. I kind of want to fix the edges. They're a little messy. I don't have a Dremel, but I do have a box cutter, and hopefully that should suffice. I've also figured out that scissors are really good with cutting this off, so it's looking pretty dang good. As you can see, they're both domed. This one did not come out very circular. I mean, circular, but it's not. There are some straight edges that I need to get rid of, but otherwise, it's pretty good. It's going pretty good. So, I'm very excited about this, and I'm just gonna work on this and let voiceover on to take over like for the rest of the video, because I really need to focus on what I'm doing without explaining what I'm doing. So, hi voiceover Anna, hi future me. I'm so sorry again. Alright, let's get to work.
So first thing I did that night was trying to fix the edges. I was not that successful with it. I tried to use scissors to cut off like rough parts that were kind of hanging off, stuff like that. And it kind of worked, kind of didn't. Don't really recommend it. Next, I tried to measure out my arm on the shield and mark off where I wanted the straps to go. I got 2 belts from Goodwill. I only ended up using one of them and essentially made the arm strap. And this is where I meant by the second layer being handy. It was very handy in the sense of I was able to hide the back of the straps where everything would go. And I'm not gonna lie, it kind of reminds me of like a Spinosaurus in the back of it until I eventually do the next step, which is to glue it within the seam. So that way if I tug it too hard, it's not gonna fall out, it's not gonna fall apart or tug on the shield too much, and I won't break it essentially. Next, I glue the back of the shield, or like that layer of it. I basically tear apart the belt and use the inner part as a way of keeping it as flat as I could, while also keeping it as secure as I could and making sure it doesn't fall out. So, fun story. This broke. So now I need to get a new Dremel. I'm gonna have to probably go to Walmart and get the next cheapest one I can find. Which is annoying! I'm so ticked off. I am so ticked off! Now I've learned my lesson. Don't buy a Dremel for like $10. Don't do it. Hi! Okay, it's been a hot minute. Not really, it's been like a week. But it's been a hot minute. My energy was super low throughout half the video, but I'm back because guess what? This part of the shield is done, baby. It's all sanded down. All I have to do is heat seal it. There are some imperfections, but this is the inside of the shield. So honestly, I don't care. But I will point out what I did by accident. So since I'm not very good with the Dremel, it's kind of bumpy, especially because I was trying to angle it so it looks flushed to the shield when I actually glue it down. And the cut of this is not very good either, unfortunately, and I couldn't really do much to fix that as much as I tried. The best I could do was sand down the edges a little bit so it looks a little rounder and that it would fit this a little better, which it does. As you can see, I'm not that super worried about when I glue this down. It's just when I glue it down, I'm going to be super careful. But I'm going to have to seal this because when you sand it, it gets a little bumpy and there's dust all over it. So I'm going to have to clean it up first. But after that, I just have to sand down the edges of this. I don't have to do actually really much, and I'm definitely not going to angle it like I did with this. I instead will just kind of sand it as is, because I kind of like the way the shield looks, and it doesn't really, like if I do this, it looks like a shield, and I honestly don't mind. So, I'll see you after I sand this down, because it's pretty self-explanatory, as I already have shown you how I use the Dremel for this. It's just without angling the sander down, it's just really getting the edges flushed and, not flushed, what's the word? Just getting them smooth. That's it. That's all I really want to do with the Dremel. I just want to take off all the little specks that are all over it, heat it with a heat gun to seal the foam, and then I can move on to putting the face on. I'm very excited about putting on the face. Very excited about putting on the face. So, I'll see you in a little bit. Probably will be another week. If not, I'll see you later tonight. Alright, bye-bye. Extra clip, I just realized throughout this entire video I've been doing transition stuff with either shield or my hand or whatever, and I don't think I followed up on a lot of it. So, whoops. I probably will forget I did this too. So, see ya, future you and me. Okay, bye. So what you see me doing here is heating the edges of the inner part of the shield so that way I can flex them out a little bit. And the reason why I'm flexing them out is so I can make it as flushed as I can to the bigger shield as I can. So that way when I lay it down with the glue, it will not need much adjusting. It will need adjusting when I eventually do set it down. But that comes with the Dremel, and you'll see what I do with that later. Next, I coated both the big shield and the little shield, I guess you could call it, with contact cement and very carefully, very, very carefully set it down, because once the stuff is on, it's on. Like, I got very lucky later, and I'll explain that when it comes, but once the stuff gets on, it stays on, and it's really annoying to get off. Like, it will not come off the shield. If you notice there's some drippage, luckily you can't see it in the end product, but I'm just saying I got very lucky later. After I set the second part of the shield down, I did some more dremeling just to kind of hide the seams a little bit, make it look like it's all one big thing. The other thing I did, as you saw before, was basically use the glue on the edges to just make sure it's as flush as I can get it without like ruining it in a sense. It looks amazing, but this step will both not matter and matter a lot in the end game, because you'll see why a lot later. A little bit too late later, but I will say this, I'm gonna toot my own horn early. It looks really good. The shield ended up looking really good, and I'm very happy I did the step.
No, this is not darkness. The camera's not failing you. Look at my shield. Look at my shield. Look at the shield. Freaking Captain America vibes here. So, obviously, it's all glued on. Actually, I figured out if I used the heat gun, it would glue faster than just sitting around and waiting and watching I Dream a Genie, which I have been doing for the last 2 days. And look at my shield. Look at my shield. Look at the shield. Look. This makes me look so tiny. But look at my shield. Look at the shield. It looks so cool. So as you can see, the belt thing is working. I'm actually using the smallest setting because I have very tiny wrist. With that being said, it is actually really hard to get it off when I put it on the smallest setting, so there's that, but it's pretty dang secure. It's kept its shape. It's pretty domed, as you can see. Like, it's really domed, which is really nice. I was worried when I was using the heat gun that it would actually deform on me, and it looks pretty circular. There are some bumps and lumps, but they're not super noticeable. And honestly, I'm not mad. It's supposed to be an ancient shield anyway, so it's gonna be a little decrepit. But now we get to put Medusa's face on here. That's gonna be an adventure that I actually have to figure out from scratch. From here, it's flying in blind. Most of the time, it's been flying in blind, but this is really flying in blind because from here on out, I am not using any tutorials I found online. This is just from the back of my head and just figuring it out. Seriously, like, figuring it out. And I'm not very good with clay, but guess what? I'm gonna be using EVA foam clay for the first time, and that's gonna be interesting. But look at the shield.
So what you see here is me showing you the reference picture I've been using this entire freaking time. It is the reference picture I used to pick out the face structure, aka the mask, aka the base I am using for the rest of this project. The 90% of the Medusa is EVA foam clay, but this part is just purely making the foundation. I can't exactly explain this part well, but I can explain the details of this mask and why I picked it out. So it has this little divot thing on between the upper lip and the nose, and it also is very angular. It reminds me of Greco-Roman mask, which is exactly why I picked it out. I think I got it from Joann's. You probably can find this thing on Amazon, maybe even Walmart, but it very much helped in the long run. It has a very strong nose, which she has for some reason, and it's just a very, very good mask. As for the craft foam you see me using, I don't know if I ended up using that in the end. I think I actually ended up using cardboard. We'll see what happens. But essentially what this is for is just to make that kind of head shape, because she has a long forehead. We'll build off of that later, and it will not be seen at all. Like, I don't even see it in the finished product. And it just looks very nice. And I do make the neck, because she has like a little neck thing that kind of blends back into the shield in a way. And like I said, this is just foundation, so I'm explaining it as best I can, but I don't know what I really did here. I just know what I can see.
Alright, so it's actually the next week again, and we are now at the part where this horrifying thing is kind of attached.
the bag that stuck to the foam and accidentally got glued onto the shield is currently very stuck. So I have to work with that. But as you can see, if you notice, I would focus on this instead. If you notice there's pink markings right here, that's because I plan on cutting the actual mask itself. So that way I can actually open the mouth a bit, because the way the mouth is shaped, if you look at the picture of Medusa, she has her mouth open and scary, and she looks like she's about to bite you, basically. Excuse me, I'm being distracted by a cute kitty over here that is not my cat, but she's adorable. And yeah, so that's the plan today, and anything else that entails. Also, I have some olives because it's lunchtime. So don't be surprised if you see me eating. All right. Let's get watching Dick Van Dyke and get to work.
Alright, I want to get this out of the way. If I sound a little rough, it's because I've been sick for the past few days and I've been coughing up a lung and an ear and a bat. So, with that being said, let's move on. So what I'm doing here is essentially cutting up the mask and Frankensteining this thing together. I ended up using a ton of cardboard and hot glue. Hot glue is a savior. And basically creating the shape of the face I want. I opened her jaw up. I covered the back of her jaw because I'm going to be covering that with clay. And later on, I'll actually be covering the eyelids with clay as well. And just basically gluing the whole thing on there. That is literally it. I can't really describe it better than that. It is just a bunch of Frankensteining. I used my own face as a guideline, using details in the mask as a foundation. This is your baseline. Don't worry about the details yet. Just make sure you have a structure. Think of it like bone. You're gonna create the muscles with the clay.
Good evening. I have changed my pants. I'm still watching Dick Van Dyke, and I've taken off my lipstick and had dinner. And as you can see, I have glued in various different ways this on. I have replaced this part for the head because one, it's a little more structured, and two, the other thing wasn't working out. And yeah, now it's time for the clay, which is very scary because this is the first time I've used this kind of clay right here. And also, I just want to mention, I'm not get focused on that. I am not very good with clay. I've never been very good with using clay. It's not my forte, but you know, we're here now, so wish me luck. And I'm gonna get started on working on this.
So for Medusa's face, I sprayed the mask with misty water so that way the clay would stick to it. It stuck really well, so be careful. This stuff is made to stick to EVA foam, basically anything wet, and you continue to spray it if you want to continue to work with it. It does eventually dry and it cures fully after about like 72 hours with this one. I bought it from Hobby Lobby. With that being said, I continued to work on basically her face structure. I made her angry. I gave her fake eyes, a tongue, teeth, the works, even cheekbones. I even worked on the nose a little bit, but that was the place I had to work on the least. Where I had to do a lot of work though were the snakes. They were really easy, just very time consuming. So I made basically noodles. A lot of noodles, and stuck them on her head and just kind of went in, I guess, a rainbow or a halo kind of formation, and then overlapped them. I even used some chicken wire to kind of create that scaly texture and pinched the beginning of the noodle, or the end of it, I guess, to create that diamond shape. And it worked out really well. And on the bottom of it, you can see that I even made like little ones with their mouths open, because if you look in the picture, they have ones that look like they're about to bite you. So it worked out. It looks good. This is the best way I can explain it, but it's kind of really simple, just very, 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 very time consuming.
So we're here. We're towards the end of the video. I'm super excited about this, but before we get to start the painting, I have to prime it, and before I even prime it, I need to heat seal the foam. And even then, I think I've said this before, but we're gonna do basically a science experiment, which is fitting considering right now it's near Halloween, so this is gonna be awesome. This, my dear friends, is not boiling water. Don't put it in boiling water. This is actually just hot water from my tap. So, we have Plasti Dip. This is actually the reason why I'm wearing gloves. The other reason is because I'm going to be messing with paint at some point. So, this stuff is highly toxic. Do not use this indoors. But, as many YouTube videos as I've watched on this project, they say just stick it in here for a little bit. Do I know how long? No. So I'm going to give it like, I would say, I'm trying to read the directions. Maybe like a hour, half hour, 15 minutes. I'm gonna kind of give it a half hour. So see you in about a half hour. I'm gonna be all set up and we're actually gonna be outside.
So I'm only giving this an honorable mention here, this experiment you see me doing. I'm using Mod Podge, Spray On Mod Podge, Black Plasti Dip, and Gray Plasti Dip. And what I ended up using as a primer is Black Plasti Dip. And then I actually hand painted this shield. You'll see me doing that later, but I did experiment with a bunch of spray paints. They're all copper. That's all you need to know, just different shades of copper, because I wasn't super duper sure what was the perfect color for this shield, because it was surprisingly hard to find. And there was this one brand called FX Paints that had the perfect color overall, and it dried the most metallic, and it just looked really, really good. But at the time, I was not sure. I was experimenting and I filmed it. So I wanted to give an honorable mention since I put in so much time and effort into it.
Meanwhile.
Okay, hi. So we are back outside. No, we are not painting what you think. We are painting something. But as you can see, I have something in my hand, and that would be another belt. I might have ripped apart the shield so I can do this one little thing. To make a long story short, when I was color matching for the actual whole shield, for the spray paints I got and everything, I have graphic novels. I looked at them and they reminded me that Thalia wears her shield like a backpack sometimes, and I don't have any backpack straps. So a quick run to Walmart, and I now have two matching belts that have buckles that don't exactly match the buckles already on the shield, and I don't want to repaint. So we're gonna paint these. I already have gold spray paint ready to go, and we're just gonna pray for the best. This is also why I have this with me, because as always, safety first.
Okay, I would like you to ignore the music you might be able to hear in the background, because it's there and it's my neighbors and I can't help it. I'm sorry. So, with that out of the way, we're gonna try to mark off on the actual board itself, or this part of the shield, where the straps are gonna go. And then I have some tape right here that is gonna basically act as make-do straps for a hot minute while I figure out where exactly the straps are gonna go. So, let's get to trying to figure this out. Okay, so I'm not gonna film me gluing this to the belts to the shield, because if you go back in the video, it's already there. But I am going to film me just punching holes in this, gluing this back on the shield, and then finally painting this entire thing. Can't wait for that day. It's been basically a month at this point. So, next time you see me, I will probably be back at that table.
So you can see here, I'm gluing it down. I'm trying to make sure it's aligned in the correct way. So that way it's not crooked when I put it on my back or when I put it on my arm. And then after that, I hide the seams with the EVA foam. I literally just shove it in with a blue tool. And then after that, I kind of just drill new holes into it so that way it doesn't dangle, in a sense, when I have it on my arm. It's a new kind of grip, but also it's just not going to look good if I have an excess amount of space when I'm just running around with this thing. So I do that with my Dremel, and then after that, I just prep it for paint.
Okay, hi. If you can hear Full Metal Alchemist through my headphones, that means they're just very loud, but I'm wearing a beanie, so I can really hear anything. Anyway, so beside me, I have a fully 3-coated plasti dip shield, so it's ready, primed, and it's gonna be ready to go in about 4 hours. But within those 4 hours, I wanna work on something else. So I did say that this is a props video, and I might work on some other props, and then I meant spear. But I forgot about her bracelet, and I have soda cans that I've already pre-cut and have been kind of playing with for the past few days. So, guess what we're doing within those 4 hours? I don't expect it to be a very long project. I already have the clay needed, and I already have the paint needed, and everything like that. So, we're just gonna go for it, and hope for the best.
So for the bracelet, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need a soda can, because this is the cheapest way to make it. EVA foam clay that you already have on hand. Some clay tools, and some magnets. Also hot glue, don't forget the hot glue. So for the hot glue, what you're going to do is you're going to glue some magnets onto the soda can bangle that you already made. So that way you have something to kind of like clasp together, but also easy to take off, because I have tiny wrists, so it's not going to fit over my hand, but it's definitely going to fit over my skinny wrist. Next, you're going to hide those magnets. I use clay squares to do that. I also use the clay to kind of hide where the seam is. It kind of works, kind of doesn't. Really depends on what mood it's in on that day. After that, you're going to take some extreme looks at Thalia Grace's bracelet from the old official pictures. You're going to notice that there's the sun on there. Obsess over the fact that there's a sun and swirls on there and try to figure out how you're going to make it. Next, you're just going to be a very delicate hand and just work in very small sections. That's the best way to put it. Also, make more noodles because the top of the thing has a raised rim. And that's basically it. After that, you prime it, paint it, and then you're done.
all primed with the two colors I am not using for it. Alright, so it is time to start painting. I'm actually about to set up. My shield is over there. And I'm right here. Let's get painting.
I'm gonna make this really quick because it's just one color. It's multiple different brushes, I'm not gonna lie about that. Like, I use little brushes to get into the scales. I use a big brush on the back and in areas where it's just like a lot of paint needed for a big area. But for the majority / half of this, I actually use the first few coats, just makeup sponges. You'd be surprised, but my thought process was, well, beauty blenders are a thing, so why can't I use like some square makeup sponges to blend out the paint? It kind of worked. That being said, for the majority of this, at least the other half of it, I use brushes so that way I can do some actual like fine painting. Because the sponges don't get everywhere, and there are little crevices in this thing that I needed to get to. You can clearly see where black is, stuff like that. So I did use half like makeup sponges and half regular artist paint brushes that I got from Walmart.
Hello! Look! This looks cool. This looks amazing. It looks like metal, and I'm very happy with it. Ooh, it's very smooth. Didn't realize that. But it looks like metal. It looks really cool, and I love it. I feel very cute right now. Like, not gonna lie, this is a little bit of a look. Like, I look like a badass freaking secretary. Oh my goodness, I'm what's her face? Claire from Jurassic World. I'm Claire from Jurassic World. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that vibe. And yeah, so the backpack and the paint and everything with the shield is done. The shield is done. We're not done. Guess who wants to make the spear? Very last minute decision, and I had to do a lot of research. But this thing has made me have the confidence to make that spear, and I'm very excited about making it. So this video is gonna actually come out at the end of November instead of the end of, well, Halloween basically, which is both terrifying and exciting at the same time, because it means I'm postponing the final, whatchamacallit, reveal video, because I have actually seen Thalia at this point. I'm not gonna lie, I have put her on in a full cost test already. I know what she looks like. I filmed the reaction, don't worry. Don't worry, we're gonna have a genuine, oh my gosh, I cry kind of reaction. But I cost tested Thalia in a way. I'm really excited to see her full cosplay because it technically wasn't her full cosplay yet. But I have to postpone it, and I'm having a feeling it's gonna end up being in December. With that being said, I got a lot of research to do, so next time you see me, I'll be well versed in how to make a spear, or at least a little versed in how to make a spear. Let's hope I don't mess up.
So I got PVC pipe that was like 6 feet, and I just kind of cut it accordingly to my height, trying to make it sure that it kind of like looks taller than me, but it's not like too tall. It's supposed to be towering over me, but not too towering, if you catch my drift. And then after that, I basically use the leftover EVA foam I had and make a spear shape thing for the foundation. This is what I'm going to use the clay over. It's just a rough shape. I do Dremel it to kind of give it a better foundation, but for the most part, it doesn't need to look perfect. And then I got a wooden dowel and glued it on each side of the EVA foam once I put it on a smaller PVC pipe than the actual stump or like long stick portion of the PVC pipe, because this is what you're going to use to stick onto the top of the PVC pipe. That is a lot of pipes in one sentence. But if you can see here, it kind of makes more sense. I use a heat gun to kind of jam it in there. You're not going to see it in the end product, so win-win. Just make sure it's smaller. I believe I used a 3/4 inch PVC pipe for the shaft of this thing, and then a 1/8 inch for the jabbing in part where the spearhead is. So this is going to be your shaft of the spearhead, but also like basically the entire spearhead.
So, I can't really, there we go. Okay, hi. So I figured out a way for this to be a lot more, what's the word? Mobile. Because that spear is very tall, and I very much want to be able to fit it in my car. So, I know I look like I'm struggling to take this out, which is actually half the battle and actually a really good thing. But, I have managed, thanks to my dad, talking to my father, he gave me this idea, to basically create a way of taking this off. I have these little things, which are screwable, and essentially, if I can, there we go, manage to take it out. It comes out, but also it will not come out without me screwing it out or fully forcing it. So I have two of these, and honestly, I think one of them works better than the other, and I would have to sand this one down. But this is gonna work hopefully really well. If not, I will scream. With that being said, quick disclaimer, do not do what I'm about to do inside. This stuff sets off fumes when you heat it up, and I am wearing a mask, but this is not recommended to do inside a room like mine. Do it in a well-ventilated area, or do it outside. It's like spray paint, it's highly toxic, and I'm just being stupid and impatient. So, don't do what I'm doing. Monkey see, monkey no do, please. If I hear that one of you guys thought it was a good idea to do exactly what I'm about to do, well, I'll be mad. Alright, I'm gonna go show you exactly what I did, and let's cross our fingers that it works. Alright. Let's get to work.
So what I'm doing here to make my spear like bite-sized, 2 halves of the same hole, travel-sized if you will, is I went to the store and I grabbed PVC pipe, connectors that are actually screwable, but also smaller than the actual PVC pipe. So they're actually 1/8 inch screwable parts that I actually cut off the heads of. That way you don't see the heads or a bulk in the actual wood part of the spear, so you can't see this thing at all. It's completely invisible, which is very nice, and the aim. I also got the thing to screw it into. So there's a part of the spear that is literally not even part of the original pipe. It is all connectors, and it's all Frankenstein together. That is the best way I can explain it. I've done this audio like 3 different times, and it's really hard to explain, but this is the best way to explain it. So what I did is I heated the PVC pipe with my heat gun, and then I shoved the screwable part into the PVC pipe while it was still screwed into the connector. But I also made sure I moved it around just a bit so that way it wouldn't stay stuck, because I do kind of want it both ways. Make sure it stays on, but also is able to be taken apart when needed. That is it. That is the whole process. I do paint it with white paint later, and I paint the entire pipe because of it with white paint, because I found when I painted it with the brown, it looked the best. And after that, I scored the entire thing with a jigsaw so I would get that kind of wood texture with it. It's gonna kind of have some strings. You can just scrape that off with a towel, your hands if you want to be very meticulous about it. I wasn't really meticulous. I just didn't have a towel on hand that would work in that sort of way. But it works like a charm. After that, I ended up dribbling some more EVA foam, just kind of making that point, like I mentioned earlier. And then finally, we're gonna shrink wrap this EVA foam clay, pinch on the corners so that way you get that pointed look. And then you're done with the base of this thing. You just need to paint it, which is going to be very exciting because it's very fast.
So you might be wondering, why is she dressed like this? The no makeup thing's not new, but why does she have no, like, why is her hair wet? Why does she look like this? Well, guess what? I'm taking you with me on an 8-hour car drive because it's Thanksgiving week and I'm going to go visit my grandmother. So I'm taking you guys with me because I really do want to work on the prop and I'm staying there for a good week. So we're gonna hope for the best and hope she doesn't kill me. If she does, well, this will be irrelevant. Wish me luck. And a safe journey, because I'm already late. Bye.
Okay, hi, I know I look not great, but like I just took a pit stop at McDonald's, so. But I do want to note, at least we know that the breaking it down for traveling mechanism works, because it fits in my back seat pretty dang well. Yep. Okay, that's it. I have like 2 hours left on this trip, so I gotta get going. Bye.
Hi, so it's almost Thanksgiving. It's like 2 days before Thanksgiving. And we are going to continue to work on this while I am visiting my grandmother's. So this is fun. I have done a lot of test strips. I'm not showing you them. I'm just gonna continue to explain this real quick. I've done a lot of test strips, and what I liked the most was this paint with a certain FX paint that I will show you in a minute. But essentially, we are going to be spray painting this. This is our pre-primed. I used Plasti Dip on this. It has shown all the imperfections on here, but honestly, I don't care. And you're not going to see this up close pretty much ever. I am probably going to live to regret it later. But for the most part, this doesn't look terrible. And look, it looks like I'm poking you with a very pointy stick. So we're gonna get to painting this. This is gonna be fun. So I know her thing isn't actually gold. Don't worry. We are gonna play with this. I just have to wait for it to dry for a hot minute, so I'll see you in a minute. But so far, so good. So far, so good. I missed a spot. This is why we have the tape. This is why we have the tape. All right. Now, so far, so good. See you in a minute.
So what you see here is me dry brushing some bronze paint to mix that gold together with it to create the perfect color. I don't use a lot of it, just to let you know. And then after that, I create the bolts by using some googly eyes, taking out the pupil so I don't have to hear that annoying sound every single time. I use the spear, and then I spray paint it gold and hot glue it on. It's that easy. I'm not even joking. And now, are you ready for the outro? Because I'm ready for the outro. See you in a sec.
So I'm finally home safe. Thank goodness. And guess what? This thing's all done. It's all done. Which means this is done and this is done. The only reason this is in half right now is because actually this is much, much, much taller than me. I'm gonna insert a TikTok here for a height reference of how much taller this thing is. It's by a good amount, to the point where it just doesn't fit in camera. But it looks really cool, and I used a lot of reference pictures for that in terms of the graphic novels, even pictures of her, and I personally actually have a statue of Athena, well, Minerva, and the thing is quite taller than her. So, that being said, the fact that this is all done is, again, really, really, really exciting, because
because I don't have to stress over this anymore. It looks amazing. And guess what the next video is? It's the reveal video. And I haven't seen all these doodads with it. I've cost tested the cosplay, I'm not gonna lie. But the first time I put it on, I filmed it, so we're good. I have my first reaction. I'm a bit of a crybaby, so it's a lot of me trying not to ruin my makeup. But I haven't actually seen the entire full cosplay. And I'm really excited. I hope I don't cry this time. But I'm just really excited to see it. Like, this is all done. And I'm excited to share with you guys because this has been a year in the making. I didn't expect this video to be this long, but it is. I'm guessing once it's all edited and done with, it's probably gonna be a half-hour long. Because I didn't expect this to take 2 months, and so much footage, so much camera issues, and like literally my computer's so full that it just won't take any more of it, which is a little funny in a sense. But the next video is the reveal video. I hope you guys are ready for it because I'm not. But I'm also very, very excited to see it. So without further ado, I hope you guys are having a great day. I'm having a great night. I'm gonna go to bed and start editing this video so it comes out on time. All right, bye.